If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bites. I'm Ben, and this is Syya. So here's a question for you. Where does authorship take you? Now, I've written 2 books. I've written 16 or 20 ebooks. I've co-authored a series of books or ebooks with other people as well. It's not about the books. It's never about the books. It's about what doors do the books open for you? What conversations do the books start? Who do the books introduce you to? How does this book or this ebook or whatever that you've created create a level of trust or level of understanding and set you up as a thought leader moving forward? It's like this podcast. We're not going to make millions and millions of dollars on this podcast. I'd love to. If somebody wants to write me a check, Syya and I will take it. We're more than happy. We'll even split it. If it's big enough, of course. But it's not the podcast itself that makes us money. It's the clients that we get from the podcast. It's the thought leadership. It's the speaking engagements. It's the opportunities that come out of it. And that's what authorship is about. Yes, it's about transferring information from your mind to the page to an audience. I get that. But if you're trying to make your money strictly from book sales, you don't truly understand what it means to be an author. So, Syya, let's gnaw on this.
So, as you can tell, I'm a big advocate of the people I know who are authors, who have put out publications, and I admire, and I'm not going to lie, I don't read all of them all the way through. I just don't have enough time. Look, I love you,
My
authors.
books are not written for you to read them all through. They're snippets of ideas. Take the ones you like. Take the ones that resonate with you. And if there's something that just sits there and go, fine, move forward, go for it.
Here's the idea of it all. And I think this is the thing about authorship. And you're talking to a person that I've been asked many times, like, why don't you write a book, Syya? And I'll tell you why I don't. I don't have the priority. I am not making enough priority for me. Do I see the benefits for it? Heck yeah. And we'll talk about it. But I can also take that other side, which is where I don't think authorship is for me at this stage. Right? I'm not saying I'll never do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying at this stage, it's just not a priority for me. But I will encourage, for those that are looking to publish a book, I absolutely advocate and encourage it. And I'll tell you why. So many people say, well, everyone else is writing a book. There's 125 billion books that have been written since the dawn of printing press, right? And I think it's 125 million or
whatever it is.
Billion.
It's a huge amount of books.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. It is a way for people to, again, establish credibility. Mm-hmm. It is a way to get into someone's head with your words. We did a previous episode talking about how words matter, right? We've done many episodes on communication and how words matter. Right?
Absolutely. It's my love. It's my love of my life is words and communication.
And I think there's something very beautiful about words specifically, that you can create a vision in your mind's eye. And then as the author, you can give that person that moment in time to create I don't want to say fantasy world, but a world that's in their head that's unique to only you and your life experiences and all that good stuff. So heck yeah, I'm a huge advocate. And you know what? Just because there's been a billion books written out there, your story hasn't been told. It's
Absolutely.
Your story and your journey on earth that hasn't been shared. And maybe someone just needs to hear that story, your story, to either, again, whether you do fiction or nonfiction, to hear your words and allow them to experience something in their mind's eye.
Yeah. And here's something that most people will never tell you about books. Publishing the book is day one.
Oh,
The,
yeah.
the easy part, and I'm going to be really blunt about it, the easy part about a book is writing the book, because you're passionate about something. You've got knowledge about something. You've come to the impetus that I need to get this out on paper. Writing it is easy. Editing it is hard. Trust me, I've gone through 3 or 4 rounds of edits, and you don't want to change a single word because every single word is your baby. But guess what? Every editor I've ever worked with makes my writing better. They truly do. They make my writing better. It makes it less superfluous. It makes it less, flowery and more to the point. It allows you to say what you've said in 500 words in 200 words in a way that still gets the point across, and probably gets across better. But the truth of the matter is, the day one, when you hit publish and you actually get that physical copy of the book in your hands, that's when the hard work decides, because it's marketing a book. The difference between a book being seen by 100 people and being seen by 100,000 people is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't budget for it. Most people don't understand how to do it. Most people don't understand the process and how the economics work. But if you truly want to do it, you need to sit there and say, okay, it's going to cost me X number of $1,000 to produce this book. Either I'm going to have somebody ghostwrite it for me, I'm going to do it, I'm going to hire editors, I'm going to hire somebody to do a cover design, I'm going to hire somebody to do the book layout, or I'm going to do this myself, DIY it, whatever you want to do. The more you DIY it, the more mistakes you're going to make. I'm just going to say that because I did that in my first book.
Go ahead. I think, I apologize, is when you're self-publishing a book, you got to really investigate the business of books first.
Yes.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think you have to understand the industry of publishing, and you have to get educated and do the research. You're right. It's not, it's the same. The analogy could be said about podcasting as well.
Absolutely.
The hitting the record, the fact that, there's a lot of folks that, use the live streaming platforms. That's great. Mm-hmm. But what else? Mm-hmm. What else are you doing to, again, get
to
the
promote,
attention?
to build an audience, to build a tribe, to get people passionate, etc. You need to know, just like podcasting, you need to know who your audience is. When you're writing a book, who specifically are you writing the book for? Mm-hmm. I'm not writing this book for everybody. My first book was written for third-year business students at a specific university, because I was teaching these students. They had no book available to them on personal branding, on how to create their own powerful personal brand. I went looking for it to give it to them. So I wrote it. I wrote this book, and that's specifically who I wrote the book for. Now, it ended up being taken by a much larger audience. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But that's who I wrote the book in mind with when I was writing the book, because it was a group of kids that are really smart, that couldn't articulate their own value just because of lack of tapestry and lack of experience.
That you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Right? Like, not even to know that you needed to know. That's the crazy part.
And that's the dangerous things. The things that you don't know that you need to know, those are the scary things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, really, but authorship is a great thing. It gives you legitimacy. It opens doors. Maybe it gets you onto your TEDx stage, if that's a thing. Maybe it gets you up doing a keynote somewhere. Makes you a better trainer, makes you a better coach. Whether you are or you're not, it gives you legitimacy and trust within the industry. Oh, they've written a book. Don't kid yourself. It takes a lot of time, energy, and dedication to actually complete a book. There are way more books that are started than ever finished. I've got 5 books that are sitting in a drawer somewhere that are about 75% finished. Most of them may never get finished. They were just a passion project that I needed to get this information out. Maybe I'll publish them, maybe I won't. But there's far more people that start a book than ever complete a book. And that's what people look at. That's why people are impressed that you actually went through the process and you were actually dedicated to bring this thing out to the world and say, this is me, this is my story to the world.
Well, I also agree with when you write a book, you give someone something to talk about.
Yes.
And it's a structured way of talking about, because it's not so much, again, depending on the context, and again, depending on the purpose of the book and whatnot, but let's give them something to talk about, right? And it's, then you have now a talking point, and depending on the audience and that value add, you can tweak your book, right? But that's the, like, the foundational thing, right? And I think it's also a really good exercise in really hammering in what it is that you are an expert of, or really hammering the
Or
story.
codifying your beliefs.
That's the word. Look at you with your
Hey, I
language.
tell you, I love words. Words are my friend. Grammarly loves me.
You're too funny. You're too funny. Okay, so let me ask you this: is based on your experience, how would you suggest? And I do want to give a shout out to my friend Stephen Ang. He's out of New York,
Yes.
and he is a librarian, architect person.
Okay.
He works at a library, and I forget what the term is called, and he told me it's librarian clerk. Anyway, but I'm going to take credit, damn it, because I'm proud of it. I called him the librarian, or the book whisperer, or the author whisperer.
Nice.
Excuse me. I named him the author whisperer because he would often give advice and do videos of, like, hey, if you're looking to publish a book, here's some things that me being in the library industry, can give you insights into. And it's so helpful.
Huge information.
And it's so, Stephen, I love you, my friend. I just thought it was and it's such a niche thing, though, to talk about. But you know what? He can literally write a book on all those videos and write a book about it.
And you know what? He should take those videos, transcribe them, and they become chapters of a book. And that's the thing is that how a podcast can become a book. You take 60. That's how we did our second book, Leading Beyond a Crisis, a conversation about what's next. I wrote during COVID with Claire Chandler. It was a period of 16 or 20 podcast interviews that we transcribed, edited, and added to it, and it became a book. You don't have to sit there with a blank sheet of paper. You don't have to sit there staring blindly into a keyboard. Some people walk and talk and create amazing books.
Yeah.
I think that there's 100 different ways to become an author. And just because you're uncomfortable staring blankly into a screen shouldn't keep you from doing that. Some people use ghostwriters. Some people sit there and create ideas. A friend of mine will interview you for 2 hours and come up with 3 dozen, 5 dozen, 10 dozen quotes, whatever he's going to come up with. And then he creates a book of your quotes. And they're Benisms. It's a book of Benisms.
Oh, I love that. Ooh, I'd buy that.
Yeah, so it's just, every page is 50 words or 30 words or 15 words or whatever it is. And, there's little drawings that go along with them. And it becomes a book of just Benisms. And it's easy to flip to. You pick the ones you like, you leave the rest, but it's a conversation piece. And guess what, everybody? That's a book. That's a book. A book doesn't have to be this tomb of 500 pages that is War and Peace. A book can be what you want it to be, and it's what does your audience resonate with? And you need to think about it that way.
Always about the audience.
Always about the audience.
Now, even memoirs, guys. Yeah, you're talking about yourself, but again, it's always in the context of what does your audience give a rat's damn about your memories and your experiences and stuff like that. But man alive, but I could keep talking about the value of it. I do think I was actually talking to a client, actually, of saying, like, it doesn't have to be a freaking massive, like, Dickens novel either. Mm-hmm. It could be a shorter book. My only thing, I have to say this, is please don't cheat your way into being a book publisher, an author, and do like it's part story, part workbook, and like literally 90% of the book is empty pages that like with lines across. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're just going to market it as an actual workbook, I just don't. I hate it when people cheat the system too. Like, I don't know. I think that's like, maybe it's just me being
But
judgy.
the thing is, you call it a workbook. You can call it a workbook. I mean, my books have questions at the end of each chapter with room for you to write your own answers.
And that's fine.
90% of it is my thoughts and my ideas and how I see this translating into the world. And then it's like, hey, what do you think about this? And it gives you the ability to write down your answers and codify them to be able to create your own identity and your own brand, or lead, become your own leader beyond a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important that we give people the ability at the end of every chapter or at the end of every book to sit back and say, okay, what does this mean to me? How does this make my life easier? And I'm hoping that's what we do with Gnaw on This. At the end of every 15 minutes, my job is to give people something to think about that they can turn around and make their lives better. And I think that's what authorship does.
I can't agree more. I could keep talking about this, but I know we're wrapping up on time.
Yes.
But I very firmly believe for everyone that is going to do it, everyone has a story to tell. And everything that I say about podcasting freaking applies to book publishing as well.
Absolutely.
Right? So do it, you guys. I think it gives you that additional credibility, gives you something to talk about, and it's a great leave behind as well.
Yeah.
So
it's a really, really fancy business card.
Very elaborate.
Very fancy business card. So let's leave it there. I'm Ben.
And I'm Syya.
And we'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Gnaw on This, Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Gnaw on This, Business Bites.